Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we have an interesting ethical debate for you, where a German art collector loses a bid to keep ancient masks looted from Egypt. Dirk Germunden bought three art objects at an auction in 2020, and he has only been allowed to keep one of them. Who?
Yeah.
So, what's the context behind this? A German art collector it lost out on his attempt to retain possession of a mask that was deemed to have been looted. The gentleman in question, Dirk Germunden, had purchased the three items at an auction in France in 2017, having believed them to be legitimate and believed them to be obviously authentic, where he was told that the items were kept in a private collection in the United States since the 70s.
Yeah. Now, yeah. And what has happened is two things. Number one, Mr. Gemunden has filed a lawsuit against the government of North Rhine Westphalia after the authorities seized both his 2,000-year-old coffin mask and his 3,500-year-old brooch, which he had purchased during that auction on the grounds that they had been looted. As it
However,
stands, as it stands, the Dusseldorf Administrative Court has ruled that the NRW's Ministry of Culture had the right to seize those items because it could not be ruled out that those objects were obtained illegally in Egypt. Mr. Gemunden is of the statement that since he's not the one who looted them, nor does he have a connection to the looters beyond a public auction, that he's not at fault here, and someone owes him either the artifacts or the money. Since he did, after all, purchase them. Uh, the government, however, is unwilling to give him compensation for stolen goods, and nor are they allowing him to keep stolen goods.
yeah, so it's kind of this weird combination where this gentleman had purchased the items in good faith from the auction that had turned out to be looted and is now losing out on both the items and the money while the government is trying to do right and trying to protect looted goods. And one of the things that was proposed by Mr. Gamunden was a idea that the masks should be exhibited in an institution that he established with his wife, the Obentrauts 3 Museum, before their return to Egypt. And as they say, and this is my favorite little bit of this whole article, before they disappear into some storage facility, because colonialism still never leaves the mind of people, where this item is better off in our care, in our collection, because if they care for their own item, it's just going to disappear. I'm looking at
Yeah.
you, British Museum, with the Elgin marbles.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. And one of the things too is this is probably just a generic statement, probably because Egypt or the Egyptian authorities don't know what they're going to do with the mask once they have it. Getting it back would lead to several years of it moving through government institutions until it finds a home either in a museum or university collection or on display somewhere. Uh, as such, it would not be, a simple, oh, it goes to Egypt and, next month it's, part of some exhibit or collection. No, it would take a long time to process, uh, which is, what you need to do when you are attempting to actually keep track of everything. Uh, so, great deal of, great deal of offense there. Like, yeah, it's going to go into a storage facility when it gets to Egypt because it has to. That doesn't mean that it's going to be its final resting place. Although, seeing as how I believe it was a funerary mask, it was never supposed to see the light of day in the first place.
Which, the interesting thing here is this also mimics a similar case that's making its way through the French courts, where the transitional government of Gabon, which went through a military coup d'etat a couple of months ago in August, has been in a legal battle trying to get the restitution of an antique mask, and it's already in the middle of a lawsuit between the couple that bought it and the antiques dealer who they bought it from, who they believe cheated him out of the higher profits from its sale.
Yeah. So it's just a mess here, and like,
But this
on,
poses an interesting ethical debate, and something that I think we should open up to the comments, and I'll open up to you. Do you think the purchase and sale of artifacts should be allowed by accredited facilities?
and that's the key. And honestly, I'll give my 2 cents before we sign off here. And Justin, you can as well. Personally, I think the fault lies with the institution. The artifacts being illegally taken should be seized. However, I believe that the dear Mister Gemunden here has every right to sue the facility from which he purchased them, provided that they are in fact a legitimate auctioneer, a legitimate business, for the money they took from him, plus whatever legal costs he has gone through as a result of purchasing said objects, on account of the fact that you sold me illegal goods.
Under the
You
false
were supposed to
pretense that this
provide
is legit.
authenticity. You staked your claim that this was legitimate.
Yeah.
You know, you lied to me. That's, at the very least, that's false advertising, if not an outright scam. And yeah, I find the auction house at fault.
I I have a lot of mixed opinions because to some degree I don't believe cultural artifacts should be held in private collections whatsoever. However, I do also understand that there were a lot of items that were taken to private collections prior to the institution of a number of historic protection laws and cultural protection laws. With that being said, I think there should be a legitimate, authentic marketplace where the companies, as you said, take the responsibility and take the impetus on themselves of protecting their clientele and protecting their customers in the event of something like this happening, which also this is something that's very common. If you look at the dates from which this is thought to transpire, which is 2011 to 2017, which is a period of mass internal strife in the country of Egypt and a transitional change in power. The same thing was noted in Syria. The same thing was noted in Iraq. I mean, wherever there's a lot of conflict and a lot of debate and fighting, you'll see the exportation of illicit goods, mainly that being of looted cultural resources. It's an unfortunate fact, and it's something that we need to do our best to try and prevent so situations like this don't continue to happen.
Yeah. It could almost end up working like car insurance, where it's like you, the buyer, sue the institution, and the institution gets to sue the seller on account of you just keep going that chain back until we find the one person who can't sue anybody, i.e., the actual looter. Just a chain of lawsuits. Let's just do it like car insurance. You smack into my car, and my car smacks into the next guy's car. Guy in front sues me, I sue you. You don't get to sue anybody.
It's just unfortunate because this gentleman ends up at the short end of the stick. He gets
Yeah.
fucked over no matter what. And there's some argument to be made of having that much money and trying to funnel it into goods. But when you're buying goods and you're in the assumption of doing it legitimate and you're not buying it through a fence or through a black marketplace, like it's a completely different ball game. But that's why we thought we should talk about this because this brings up a conversation, this brings up a dialogue, this brings up conversations that should be had that talk about these types of topics. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up this episode because I've been on a soapbox for far too long. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.